Hey folks, Mr. B here again, bringing you another sweet, wicked, awesome math video. This is the second in my calculus series for my students who are doing the calculus placement exam. The first one was on limit by factoring, and I looked at a few different types. So I'll drop that video in the description. This video is on sum and difference of cubes. So this is sometimes it's an easily forgotten factoring technique. So in this video, I'm just going to take you through a couple of examples, and we'll see how it goes. If you're new to my channel, or if you haven't subscribed yet, please drop me a subscription, and you can drop me a like and a share and comment, anything you want. All right, so in calculus, of course, there's a bunch of different types of limits. This one in particular is indeterminate form. So what that means is, if I go ahead and try to do direct substitution in this guy, let me choose a nice color. Let's go blue. And if I try to drop, so for example, I'd go 4 cubed minus 64. And then I do 4, and then I put in my 4 squared minus 64. What ends up happening is I end up with 0 over 0. And that is what we call indeterminate form. And basically what indeterminate means is we don't know what to do. We can't figure it out, right? So we can't get the answer from what we just did. So we need some other means to be able to do it. So that means is factoring for this particular example. So particularly it's sum and difference of cubes. So you might ask, how do I know that? So if you look at this top part over here, the x cubed minus 64, x cubed minus 64, well, what we have there is a cube subtract another cube. Well, in fact, 64 is 4 cubed. So x cubed minus 4 cubed. So that's where the name difference of cubes comes from. Literally, it means you're subtracting 2 cubes. So if you look at the rule for it, and again, this is just a rule that you need to actually just know if you're doing this technique. It's a cubed minus b cubed. So in our situation, our x is the a, so a equals x, and our b is the 4. Okay, and that's my difference of cubes. So now all I need to do is to factor this, is to go ahead and put the the x and the 4 into this guy. So my x cubed minus 4 cubed is going to be equal to a minus b. So in our case, x minus 4. And then we have this guy right here. So it's a squared, which is x squared. And then I have a times b, which is x times 4. Now I'm not going to write it 4. I'm going to write that as 4x, not x4. And then I've got b squared. So I've got 4 squared, which is 16. So what I'm going to do now, once I have that difference of squares factored, I'm going to take it back over here to my limit. I'm just going to, it's a little bit ugly looking. I like blue too. All right, so I'll take it back over here, and I get the limit as x goes to 4. And I'm going to replace that x cubed minus 64 with my difference of cubes factored expression. So x minus 4, x squared plus 4x plus 16. So what we are expecting, and again, I mentioned this in a few other videos, and hopefully your teacher mentioned this to you, when you're doing indeterminate form, you know what's going to cancel before you even do the question. So because it's x goes to 4, we know that x minus 4 cancels. All right, that's the factor that needs to cancel. So luckily, that was what appeared here in the brackets. So now I just press my divide sign, and I need to factor the bottom. So this bottom here looks like it's difference of squares, but I need to factor out a 4 first. Even if you can do difference of squares on it the way it is, we should always try and factor it to get in the lowest terms first. So I'll take a 4 out, and that means I get left with x squared minus, and 64 divided by 4 is 16. And then I'll go ahead, do the limit as x goes to 4. And I'll rewrite this, so x minus 4, and then x squared plus 4x plus 16, all divided by, and then I'm going to take that 4 out, that's still there, and I'm going to use my difference of squares. So difference of squares, of course, very similar to what we've been doing in our other videos. Well, not similar, exactly the same. So hopefully you've watched that one, and if you haven't, again, it's in the description, where we looked at a few different squares examples. So when you have a difference of squares, it literally just goes x minus 4, so the square root of 16, and then x plus 4. So remember, difference of squares is when you have two squares subtracted. So a lot of times what I see my students do when they see difference of cubes is they try to do difference of squares. They're two different techniques. They're way different. Difference of squares, you have to look for, of course, squares, and you just separate them, they're plus or minus. And then difference of cubes, you have to remember these formulas. So difference of cubes is a little bit harder because you got to remember this formula. So now what we do, of course, is we look for stuff to cancel. We cancel the x minus 4s, which is what we were expecting to cancel. I wrote it up here. And now we're ready to rewrite. So the limit as x goes to 4. And then I got x squared plus 4x plus 16, all divided by 4, and then 4 plus, or x plus 4. So sometimes my students kind of get stuck at this step because they're so obsessed with quadratics and factoring, everything needs to be factored, that they spend a couple minutes trying to figure out, oh wait, this is not even factorable. And then sometimes they might get stuck and realize, oh, I can't factor it, what do I do now? Well, it doesn't matter. Once you cancel out the indeterminate form, which was the x minus 4, we literally canceled out the 0 over 0 out of this thing. You're ready to rock. So all you have to do is sub after that step. So as soon as you cancel, if you want to rewrite to make it look neat, you can. But then no more factoring, no more canceling, sub away. Only unless something's obvious, which will make your math a little bit easier, are you going to spend any time trying to factor. All right? So I sub my 4 into the top, and then I sub my 4 into the bottom. There's a lot of 4s happening here. So I got 16 plus 16 plus 16, so that's 48 right there. And then on the bottom, I've got 8 times 4, which is 32. And then I can cancel out, I can divide both of these by 16. So I get 3 over 2. So I just divide by 16, and divide by 16. And I end up with 3 over 2. And there it is. That's our difference of cubes. So, of course, there's another formula here, which is called sum of cubes. I'll do an example of that. One of the ways that my students like to remember this is that the first sign with these formulas, they're always the same. All right? So the subtract and the subtract, and the plus, they're always the same. And the second sign is always different. So I got a minus, I got a plus. I got a plus, I got a minus. So first sign the same, second sign different. And then you'll never forget it. Easy to remember. If you can remember that, you can remember this. All right, I got another one here. I've got a x cubed plus 8, and then I've got this little simple trinomial on the bottom, and it's x goes to -2. So whether you put this in your head or you're thinking it or you write it down, whatever you want to do, x minus 2 means we should be canceling x plus 2. So I'll do my sum of cubes out on the side. And again, the reason why it's called sum this time is because we're adding. So 8 is 2 cubed. So obviously this technique is only going to work if that constant is a cube. So that means my a is equal to x and my b is equal to 2. So I'll use this technique now. So I end up with x plus 2. And again, I was thinking that would happen because of that. And then I get x squared. So first sign same. So it's a sum. So the first sign is the same. Second sign is different. So this one's going to have a minus here. and then it's both of these multiplied, so just 2x, and then I'm going to have b squared, so 2 squared, which is 4. Now I'm ready to come over here and rewrite my limit, minus 2, and then I'll sub that right in here, x plus 2, and then I get x squared minus 2x plus 14, or plus 4, sorry, not 14. And then I'll divide it by, now I got to factor the bottom. So this is what I call, we'll make a bracket here with my desk. This is what I call the AM method, so product sum, some people call it. Add, multiply is what I call the AM method. So what adds to give us 9 and multiplies to give us 14. So those numbers are 2 and 7. So 2 plus 7 is 9. 2 times 7 is 14. So the factored form is really easy. X plus 2, x plus 7. And that's it. All right. So, and again, you can also use the hint, the fact that something needs to cancel here. So chances are it's going to have an x plus 2 in the bottom. And again, I didn't check indeterminate form here, guys, just for the sake of making these videos a little bit shorter. But you should always check if you're on an assessment to make sure it is indeed indeterminate form. That way you know where to go with it, all right? So let's go ahead and we'll cancel out this x plus 2. And then we'll go back and rewrite to the limit as x goes to negative 2. And then I got my x squared minus 2x plus 4. And I got my x plus 7. Just like that. And now I'm just going to, once I cancel, I'm not thinking about factoring. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm thinking about subbing. So I get negative 2 squared minus 2 times negative 2 plus 4. I'll divide it by negative 2 plus 7. So on the top, I get negative 2 squared is 4. And then plus 4, so it ends up 3 4s all added together, so that's 12. And on the bottom, negative 2 plus 7 is 5. And there you have it. A couple of examples of sum and different cubes within a limit. Appreciate you guys watching, and I would appreciate if you dropped me a sub or dropped me a comment, dropped me a like, any of those things. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in class.